Hi, friends. For much of the first year of the pandemic, I recorded a weekly video before Shabbat to say hello to you because we were not seeing each other, to share an update on things happening in the institution, also to share a brief word of Torah. I'm not going to be doing it every week, but I'm going to be doing it occasionally because sometimes I think it's easier and more interesting to watch a short video than to read a longer email. So I wanted to use this video to share with you something that we are launching tomorrow afternoon, Shabbat afternoon at 6:45 p.m. As many of you know, every single Shabbat at Temple Beth Am, for the most part, in between Shabbat Mincha and Mariv, we serve a light meal, Sudash Lishit, and we have some Torah study. Usually we focus on the next week's Parsha, and that Torah study is led by one of the rabbis or one of the rabbinic interns or residents. At different times of the year, we do different things. This year, one of our residents, Julia, has been focusing on poetry during that slot, not necessarily connected to the next week's Parsha. And sometimes in shuls, it's traditional between Pesach and Shavuot, which is the stage that we're in right now. Instead of studying next week's Parsha, you're supposed to study Pirkei Avot, a tractate of Mishnah that the rabbis wrote that are dealing with ethical principles on how to live a generally good life. So we have used this period of time between Pesach and Shavuot in recent years to teach something not Parsha based, and this year we're doing that again, but it's not going to be Pirkei Avot. We have a long and strong relationship with the Hartman Institute, that extraordinary interdenominational, cross-denominational, post-denominational think tank that has a base in Jerusalem and in New York, and many sub-bases elsewhere. I'm a graduate of their 3-year Rabbinic Leadership Initiative, I think it's what it's called, but their 3-year intense learning program. And they are producing some of the most thoughtful and interesting curricula and articles and thinking about the Jewish condition, Jewish history, Jewish thought, Jewish practice that exists right now. They have a new curriculum that they are calling Foundations for a Thoughtful Judaism. And they are sharing it and encouraging members of synagogues to be studying it. What is this curriculum, Foundations for a Thoughtful Judaism? It's very intentionally pluralistic. That's Hartman's raison d'etre and their calling card. It's supposed to be a sophisticated intro to foundational concepts in Jewish life. It is for both newcomers to Jewish learning, those who do not have much of a background, and also it's supposed to be substantive and thick enough that even if you have a strong day school background or a master's in Jewish thought, you will find this material interesting in the same way that I have found it interesting in preparing for it. We're going to be teaching a few of the many classes in the Foundations for a Thoughtful Judaism curriculum, starting this Shabbat on Shabbat afternoons, in between Mincha and Mariv. I will be leading the first one, and we're going to be focusing on principles of faith. We're a faith community. Judaism is many things. It's a nation, it's a identity, and it's also a faith. And we talk a little bit in our community about what we believe and about God and about what faith means in the Jewish experience, but not all that much. So we're going to be spending a little bit of time on that. And then my colleagues on the clergy team and some of the rabbinic residents will also be teaching some classes. If we get a strong response, particularly if more people start coming on Shabbat afternoon, either in person or on Zoom than normally, it means that this topic is really interesting, and we might continue it even after Shavuot. But this announcement is to let you know that starting Shabbat afternoon this week, 6:45 is Mincha, at around 7:10, but come from Mincha, we're going to start teaching this course, and it's going to be most Shabbat afternoons between Pesach and Shavuot, with at least one exception for a special event. So join us in person if you can. Join us on Zoom if you're more comfortable that way. And lean into exploring what Judaism means from the most thoughtful perspective, using rich sources, interactive conversations, and opportunity to learn with us, because there are very few things that we in the clergy team love to do more than to study our tradition with you. Let me wish you now a Shabbat Shalom, and the salutation that I haven't said in some time, but it doesn't mean that I don't mean it. I miss you, and I love you. Shabbat Shalom.